Hello everyone, it's M4J here and welcome back to the OpenTTD tutorials. Last time out we did some signaling and there was actually a couple of things that I was in the middle of kind of explaining and then either forgot about or just couldn't find a good example. Luckily, you might have seen the railways changed a little bit. There's still some scars on the landscape from the previous track layout. I've got a couple more things to explain to you about signaling before we move on to today's subject, which is depots. Nothing's changed here at Brentwood. Nothing's changed here at Guardston. However, you'll notice there's a new station here at Cadtown, which is being built on a passing loop, or a stopping loop. The station straddles the main lines. We've got a waypoint, we've got a station. This will come in more next episode where we talk about station building, and then the episode after as well where we talk about train route planning. This spur line here is to do with today's episode, so we'll come back to that later. But I just wanted to show you the signaling here and how it works. If I select this one here and this one here, you'll see how I've set this up. So if a train is approaching in either direction and its stop is Cadtown, then it will restrict its speed to 30 miles an hour. It will then pull off the main line into the station. When it leaves the station, these two signals here, they don't have any routing restrictions on them whatsoever. They're just there to control flow. Once the train rejoins the main line, you'll see here that it will speed back up to 75 miles per hour or 60 miles per hour, depending on whether it's a cargo train or not. More often than not, very rarely will a freight train actually stop at these stations. So yeah, occasionally you might have goods dropped off, I suppose. But for the most part, it just pays to have both sets here. Just so that, because if you didn't have the passenger specification, then freight trains will also speed up. But if you only had the passenger specification, you might still have a freight train that's operating at the wrong speed for whatever reason, because you might end up using these as passing places where freight trains will pull over anyway, and passenger trains will overtake. So to have both is always a good rule of thumb. It's not necessary, it's not essential, but I like to do it. Plus it's easy because you can just copy and paste from a previous signal that already has it set up. These signals here, this one here, controlling access to the junction, doesn't yet have any restrictions placed upon it, but it will do shortly. The blue one here, that's the same as this one here. Again, these are in pairs. So the station exit signals, these two here, are shared. This one is copied from these two, but isn't shared. But the one down here is shared with the one over there. And again, it's good to have signals operate in pairs like that. So if you change one, the other one changes as well. And again, it's not essential, but it's a good rule of thumb, just if you want to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to do a little bit of terraforming here. I've already got a bit of a plan in place as to what I want to do regarding this depot. It's going to be built on this site here. But there's a couple of sort of rules and regs that I want to go over first. And a couple of them are quite important. Some of them, again, it doesn't really matter, but it fits my play style, which is why I choose to do it. The first thing is number of tracks. Now this one is probably the most important part when you're planning out a depot. How big are you actually going to make it? Because obviously that determines how much land you need. Things like that, which again is fairly important. Now, I've got here in my notes, eye candy, number of tracks, layout. So let's talk about layout and number of tracks, because they kind of go together. There's two types of depot in the way I play the game. Now, I'm not talking about this depot here. I'm talking about like sidings, traction maintenance depots, tractive maintenance depots, sorry. Would help if I used the right terminology. Where trains go to bed, basically. Where they, the trying to think of ones in the UK, like Ilford and is it Craigentinny in Edinburgh? I always forget the names of the ones up north, but Ilford's a good one. It's Crossrail's depot. Old Oak Common as well. There's another Crossrail depot where the trains go to bed at night, basically. So yeah, there's two layouts. I would love to build examples of both today, but I think for time reasons, I'm only going to build one example, which I've already got basically planned out. But the two types are straight through or in and out. Now, straight through is where your actual depot, this one here, will be built in a certain location, like this. And I'm going to build it 5 tiles long. I'll explain why soon. Then there'll be a fan out area where it will open up into the sidings. And then on the other side of the sidings, it will come back together again into 2 tracks, 4 tracks, whatever it might be. And those tracks will then join the main line. And that'll be how trains leave. That's a straight through depot. An in and out depot is where the depot will be here and the approach tracks will be either side of it, like so. And then it will fan out again into the various sidings, but the sidings will be dead end. There will be no way out on the other side. And effectively, the train will come in this way, into its siding, sit there for however long, and then it will reverse back this way and into the depot. They both have their pros and cons. The big pro of straight through depots is you can basically have a single flow of trains. So you might have half of your sidings allocated to trains going towards the depot and the other half from the depot. The in and out method, you can do that as well. But the problem again is conflicting moves, and only one train can enter and exit a depot on either of these examples. But if you imagine there's a train here coming out and it's crossing all the way over this way, no train, say on this side, can access any other tracks on this side because there's conflicting movements. Or even here, no train can get into a siding here because this train is crossing over and getting in the way, which can be a bit of a pain. Now, those are the layouts, the types of the depot. Now we're going to talk about number of tracks. Now, this is a pretty simple line. There's 4 stations. The end stations here will get rebuilt in the next episode, ready for the start of trains running. And some of these other lines might end up being connected as well. But for the sake of argument here, there's 4 stations. I would call this a pretty rural branch line type line. To me, it doesn't make much sense to have a huge number of tracks because we're not really going to have a huge number of trains. I think for this kind of depot size, you could probably get away with a maximum of 4 or 5 tracks because really we're only going to have 2 or 3 trains stabled here at any one time. So that, I believe, is going to be our design. I have put this in the wrong place. I'm going to move it over like this. We're going to go with a straight through design, but kind of with reversing as well. Really, trains are going to start and end their journey at Guardston here. So it does make more sense to have trains come out here and then reverse. So this depot actually probably doesn't make much sense here. So I think I am going to move it. This line here is going to be one of the siding tracks. So we can imagine, let's build it like this. We'll kind of go like so. Yeah. This is a ladder system, by the way. Again, something I mentioned in a previous episode with junction types. I think I might just do a very basic design like this on this side. And again, it would have made much more sense. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change things slightly, because I think it is actually going to make much more sense to have this be the design. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And then trains will enter and exit, heading probably towards, I always forget the name of the station, Rentwood. There we go. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our depot design. I'm pretty happy with this. I've seen worse, let's put it that way. Now we can go ahead and actually plan out our design here. Now, what I like to use, and again, I'll come to a video in future with my new GRFs that I use here. You've got basic modular shed tiles, which are really, really handy. And you also have ISR fixtures, which are good for making sidings. They've got buffer stops as well, which always look really cool. And I also use... actually, I don't think I have the other one in here. So maybe just fixtures and the sheds. There was another one I did use, though, that used to have sidings. But I guess I haven't got it installed in this save. That's fine. So yeah, let's build some sheds. Rule of thumb here, again, if you want to make these look pretty, hold control so that it doesn't attach to the station down below, and then click build separate station. You can also use that as a way to have massive stations, so they You know, if you've got a bus stop over here, say, you can connect this station to that bus stop and it will just share catchment areas. Some people call that cheating. I personally don't. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. It actually makes the game more realistic for me. I treat it a little like, if anyone here has played Cities in Motion, the way that you can have people walk like 3 or 4 streets to get to and from a metro station, say. That's how I consider it. It might not be the same for everyone, but that's how I consider it. I'm just going to use a little bit of ISR here. In fact, I might even do a little bit of ISR on this side. There we go. No, must remove railway station first. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Once you've placed the track, you can. It just does a simple tile swap. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't remember that, but there we go. Okay. So these signals here. Again, I like to do my realistic speed limits. I hate this UI with an absolute passion, by the way, but I don't really have a choice with it because people might be watching on mobile and it makes it easier to be seen. If entry direction is from the back, then speed restriction is going to be, I was going to say 5 miles an hour, but I think 10. In real life, I think it is 5 miles an hour, but we might change it to 10 here, otherwise it will take forever. If train is entering from front of signal, then speed restriction is 15. There we go. For the sake of argument here, I'm going to change this to 5. Cool. We're then going to grab these 4. That's the thing. It's just I can't see. I'm playing on a 4K monitor, but I feel like I'm playing in 480p because of the way this is set up. And it's, you know, it's a proper first world problem. I'm not complaining, but at the same time, yikes. This is all set up then. So we're going to rename this. Always forget where the pencil is now. There it is. I'm just going to change it to CADTown TMD, Tractive Maintenance Depot. I've probably got that wrong, but someone always corrects me on things like that, which is A-OK. And then the final thing we're going to do with this is we're going to grab you, we're going to share with you, and we're going to say if current order is this, then speed restriction 15 miles an hour. We've already got the exit signals done, and there we go. So trains can now enter from here. I think start and stop for most of the lines now will actually be down here at Rentwood. We could even have it, again, this is advanced signaling, so this isn't something necessarily you have to worry about, but you could even have it that if the previous order, when the train reaches this signal, was this depot, then they have to pull over and let in-service trains pass. That's optional. You don't always have to do that. I do use it on my high-speed lines on the M4J network, just to have it so that the trains leaving the station and still getting up to line speed actually remain on the outer tracks, and trains running through express take the inner tracks still. But it's entirely optional. So this is how I build my depots. Now there are other eye candy things that you can add. If you come over here, this is the eye candy. It's called object selection, but it's basically eye candy. Now again, I do normally have more things than this, but I've been clearing stuff out recently because I had ones that I just wasn't using. So you don't have to use fake airport tiles or anything like that. But say, for example, if I just wanted to use ground tiles for a second, because these are similar textures, you can place some of those there. You could even, if I was to grab the fences, you could even build like a little car park area. Let's say I did that, and then if we placed a gate there, and then all of this here can be fenced in like so, and then you can go along, build that one in the corner there, build that one in the corner there, and then build that one there. And you can place some other things in here as well if you wanted, like random, I know, makes it look like a heliport, but little things like that. It's little details here and there that make a massive difference. That's what I find anyway. I'll talk more about eye candy in the next episode because we're going to be rebuilding at least one station probably Rentwood, if not both ends of the line, just to make them look a little nicer and a little prettier. You can already see that I've started doing my usual style for these platforms here. But ultimately, this is all you need to know about depots. There are times where, again, viewers of the M4J network, you'll know what I'm talking about. You might have more than one depot on the same site. So, for example, on the M4J network, we have the Guard City Connect franchise and the West Winds franchise. They serve depots at Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge, and they might have tracks that intersect and things like that, but they're ultimately two separate depots. That's a really extreme example. It's a rather complex, as it were. Again, I think for basics, you don't need to worry about that kind of thing. This is perfectly fine. This will be more than enough to service the trains that we're going to have operating on this line. And to be honest, in terms of the M4J network, I am going to start scaling some of it back a little bit, rebuilding stations to make them a little bit more realistic. And so we will see some of the depots sized down to something more like this. You could imagine like London Underground, for example. You look at some of the depots there and it's like 20 sidings wide and you can fit 2 trains in a siding, and it looks massive and it looks complex, but they need it to be like that because they know exactly how many trains they're going to be operating and they know exactly how many trains are going to be stored there. I don't know that right now. You know, I'm looking at this. I don't know how long it takes to run from Guardston to Rentwood. I don't know how long trains are going to linger in platforms for right now. That's something we're going to come to 2 episodes from now. So right now, this is a good guesstimate as to how big it can be. And if need be, we do have extra space here for a 5th track if we need it. Or, you know, we might have to rebuild the approaches on this side a little bit, but we could squeeze a 5th track in here if we needed to. Or even, you know, you can see there's room for expansion all around. And if you really want to get good with the eye candy, you can build like a tunnel that runs under the town here, climbs up a slope, and then you've got a road connection so people can go to work every morning when they drive the trains. But that, again, is an optional extra. Alrighty, it's a short and sweet one today, but I think that does it for depots. As usual, if I've forgotten anything, do let me know in the comments down below. It's really, really helpful. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're enjoying these tutorials and finding them useful, then be sure to hit the like button for that as well. Check out the playlist, link to which will be in the description down below. If you've got any ideas for other tutorials, do feel free to let me know in the comments below as well. Subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Like I said, next time out, we're going to be doing station construction, station eye candy, platform layouts, passenger flow, all that kind of thing. You're going to learn some things that even I didn't realize I was doing as well. So if you want to make sure that you're the first in line to watch that video, be sure to smack that subscribe button. And it really does help me out. You can also check out the M4J network and the new M4J network, which is basically the M4J network, but I didn't want to continue the old series, so we started a new one. But it's the same network. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.